Welcome to Creative Cooking. Today we're making a Cowboy Casserole. It's actually more like a chili cornbread, but let's get started with that cornbread. I have a 50-50 mix of flour and cornmeal, a little bit of sugar, some baking powder, and salt. I will put all of these ingredients down in the description for you because the list is pretty lengthy for the whole recipe. We're going to whisk all those dry ingredients together and form a little well in the center so we can scramble our eggs. We want to do that first. That's pretty important. Now, I do want to raise something on the cornbread. If you're down in the southern United States, they probably don't put any sugar in the cornbread. That's understood. I like to put a little bit in there because I think that a little background sweetness blends with that spicy chili that we're going to make for this. So we're going to go ahead and add our melted butter, and we're going to add room temperature milk. Everything is at room temp. Now bear in mind, you could also make this with buttermilk if you want to. If you have a favorite cornbread recipe that you have, go ahead and make that one. I find that using your own mix is better than buying the boxed mix because you can control those little details, like sweetness. And then we're going to add 1 cup of cheddar cheese. This is sharp cheddar, and I like using the yellow one because it adds some nice color to the cornbread itself. So between the cornmeal and the cheese, you're going to get a nice golden color in your cornbread. And it's a very thick batter compared to some of the cornbread recipes that are out there, but it really does need to be, and you'll find out in a minute why. So now we're going to take 1 cup of onion, 1 cup of bell pepper. I'm using green. You could use red. And we're making a basic chili. And here again, if you have a recipe for chili that you would prefer to use for this, well, by all means, go for it. I'm adding a little bit of garlic, but not too much. And I've got 2 pounds of ground beef. Now this is an 80-20 ground beef, so it's going to shrink a little bit, and we're going to drain it anyway, so it's not going to matter. See, you got to drain it really well. And once you get that back in the pan, you're going to start putting all the other goodies in. This is a can of small red beans, they're called. You could use pintos. That would work out well. I have a can of sweet corn, and these are all 15.5-ounce cans, all right? And we have the petite diced tomatoes. You could use Rotel. You can buy the ones with or without chilies. It depends on how hot you want this to be, all right? We're going to give it a little mix. Now size it up. I think it's a little too much for the skillet, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and season it. I have my homemade, home blend taco seasoning mix, or southwestern seasoning, whichever you want to call it. Since we're doing this with 2 pounds of hamburger, right off the bat, we're going to use what would be the equivalent of 2 packets of taco seasoning. All right, so you want to keep that in mind. And like I said, I think I had a little too much, so I took a little bit out of the skillet and had that little chili on the side. It was really good. Don't worry, it gets eaten. Chili always gets eaten, right? So all you have left to do now is just put the batter on the top. You'll notice that you can't really pour it. It's almost like working with biscuit dough. So you got to do it little dollops, spread it all the way around. And those little gaps, don't worry, it's going to fill in when it goes in the oven. So that's going to go in for about 25 to 30 minutes. And when it comes out, it's going to look like this. Isn't that beautiful? And all you got to do now is just scoop it and put it on a plate. And I got to tell you, this was like one of the most delicious meals. My mother used to make something like this. I forgot what she called it, but it is delicious, and I hope you give it a try. And I hope you come back each week for more great videos made for people who like to cook. Until then, ciao.